My name is Cheems. This is my 4023rd loop. If you are unfortunately targeted by a sniper rifle, the best course of action is to stay where you are. Because one cannot escape the speed of a bullet, and this allows you to die with more dignity. However, there's one exception. That is when you know exactly when the opponent will fire.
Don't you move. ID already locked onto your position. If you dare to come out, you're dead.
You won't hit me.
How did you manage to dodge my sniper shot?
Long time no see. It must have been 1,000 or 2 loops, right? What a hassle.
Dante, move!
How did you guys find this place?
Thank you for the information that helped us capture this fugitive, Mr. Cheems. The police department's reward will be deposited into your account within a month.
You're welcome, officer. I've already gotten what I wanted.
Although we won't inquire about the source of the information, I personally am really curious. How did you know he was hiding there?
Well, just a bit of luck.
Luck.
See you next loop, officer.
Loop?
This lead is completed, but this information doesn't seem useful for now. Forget it, let's move on to the next one and investigate further. The first time I saw him was on my 527th loop. My condition was much better than when I started, because I finally realized the fun of the loop. Everything is repetitive and fixed, so as long as I loop a few more times and gather enough information, I can do everything. This feeling, similar to solving a puzzle, was very delightful to me, but soon I realized that things seemed not to be that simple. What is going on? In the past loops, sudden deaths were not uncommon. And I was so surprised because I've been down that road many times, and there has never been a sniper incident at this point in any of the loops. I quickly became interested in this event, so the next day, I went to the same spot at the same time, but this time no one sniped at me. So it was then that I realized, it's very likely because I did something special in a previous loop, that led to the sniper attack. But I couldn't for the life of me figure out what it was. Thus, I decided to use a brute force method. That is, to repeat everything I did on the day I got sniped. Reproducing it exactly was not an easy task, but I eventually managed to do it. And after that, there was a long battle ahead. Since I didn't know what I did to cause his appearance, I could only repeat the initial loop and had no way to get useful equipment. Thus, I ended up fighting him continuously for over 30 times. After accumulating enough experience and feeling, I finally anticipated the moment he would fire, and then successfully subdued him. So, next, we can finally find out the answer. It took me quite a bit of effort to interrogate him. Since the shooting location was close to the police station, the police would check out the situation in just a few minutes. So, I specifically moved him to a remote corner. He was not a pushover, and conventional methods couldn't get him to talk. Plus, this victory was hard-earned, and defeating him again would take a lot of effort. So, I resorted to slightly more violent interrogation methods. After the interrogation, I spent the next few loops cross-verifying his statements, approaching him with different identities. Ultimately, I pieced together the truth behind the sniper attack. His name is Mose, a highly skilled mercenary. He was cornered by a ruining his life. So he used his last savings to buy a sniper rifle, preparing to randomly snipe passers-by as a form of revenge against society. But he hadn't made up his mind completely, The last vestiges of humanity within him were still battling with anger and pain. At this moment, like the straw that breaks the camel's back, anything could tip his sanity over the edge. On the morning of the 527th loop, I had gone to a newsstand to buy lottery tickets. It was a habit I developed starting from the 162nd loop. If I need to kill time during each loop, I would go to the nearby newsstand to find lottery tickets that could win prizes. This way, in future loops, I could obtain a large sum of money in a very short time. In that loop, I had checked half of the lottery tickets and found one that could win 50,000 yuan. The person who bought the next lottery ticket after me would, due to the change in the order of the tickets, win a small prize of 100 yuan. Because of this 100 yuan, he bought an extra meal at the breakfast shop. This way, he would have to wait for an additional traffic light before reaching the company. And while waiting at the traffic light, a wandering beggar would ask him for money. He casually gave the remaining change to the beggar. And it was precisely because of this act of begging, it caused the beggar to be 20 seconds late in reaching the next intersection, and it also led to him missing a passerby. Mose. I'm not sure why the beggar's interaction would affect Mose's thoughts. But in any case, if the beggar had seen Mose and asked him for money, even though Mose wouldn't give him any, he would ultimately and inexplicably abandon his plan to kill. On the contrary, if they didn't meet, Mose would definitely go up to that rooftop. I tested this in a few loops, and the result was always the same. And it was from this incident that I first recognized the butterfly effect.
Well, after that.
Once I understood the cause and effect, I lost interest in him. However, the sniper rifle he had was actually quite good, so there were a few loops where I would go and take his sniper rifle. But that was a long time ago. I haven't seen him for at least 1,000 or 2,000 loops.
So the reason I was sniped by him was because...
Yes, it was because of something we did in that loop that triggered the butterfly effect. Do you remember doing anything different in the last loop compared to before?
Oh, I remember I bought an ice cream in the loop before I got sniped, and in the loop when I got sniped, I didn't buy the ice cream.
It's probably like how I bought a lottery ticket. You not buying that ice cream also triggered a series of butterfly effects, ultimately leading him to make up his mind to commit murder.
Wait, that's not right, Cheems. If not buying the ice cream would lead him to decide to kill, why wouldn't he go up to kill in the previous loops when I never bought ice cream there? Also, just because a beggar asks him for money, he would give up his plan to kill. That sounds too far-fetched, doesn't it? The butterfly effect can't be that illogical, can it?
I'm not exactly clear on that. But the butterfly effect is called the butterfly effect for a reason. It's because there will be a huge chain reaction between cause and effect. If you single out the cause and effect, it may seem illogical. If you really want to understand why not buying that ice cream could lead to such a huge chain reaction, you can spend a few loops trying it out. But I think it's just a waste of time and energy. It's better to do something more interesting when you have the time.
But it still feels a bit strange. Is it possible that this isn't the butterfly effect at all?
Not the butterfly effect? Not the butterfly effect.
Cheems? Cheems.
Oh, I'm fine. In any case, if you're really curious about this issue, you can try looping a few more times later. Let's take this opportunity to unlock that box.
Oh right, I almost forgot about that. Wait, do you already know how to unlock the box?
Well, after you died in the last loop, I tried again. Lucy, you asked me before why we didn't tie up that mercenary. Now I'll answer you, because I need to confirm whether what he said is true.
I don't quite understand. Not tying him up will confirm it?
Do you remember Dr. Max's reaction when we first met him?
Who are you?
His reaction clearly didn't seem like he knew us.
What's the connection?
Firstly, the mercenary handed over the goods obediently when we pointed a gun at him. He's obviously not someone with a strong sense of responsibility. So, what do you think he would do if his goods were hijacked?
Oh, he wouldn't tell his employer, because he would have to pay a large penalty. Instead, he would say that the goods were stolen and it had nothing to do with him.
Exactly. But if he wasn't a mercenary and was the doctor's confidant or someone else with some kind of vested interest, then he would inform the doctor about the hijacking. So now, combining the doctor's reaction, we can conclude that he indeed wasn't lying.
But what's the point?
Of course, there is. This allows us to draw two conclusions. First, not using a fixed contact to transfer things between the two sides indicates that the relationship between the parties is not very close. The second is a bit disappointing, which is that what's inside the box probably isn't very important. If it were something important, they wouldn't hire a mercenary like that. But we've come this far, let's still get what's inside the box out. In the last loop, after you died, the butterfly effect must have already disrupted everything. So I abandoned my original strategy, and instead investigated the reputation of Dr. Max in the area. He has a good reputation, often helping nearby residents with their medical needs, and I can tell they genuinely appreciate him. However, someone who can shoot so decisively is definitely not a purely good person. So, I prepared a little surprise for them, and they provided me with some information. That is, he has had connections with a gang called the Glitch Gang.
Oh, that's the gang.
A doctor colluding with gangsters, it doesn't take much to figure out what they're up to. Thus, I took advantage of the night and headed straight for the Glitch Gang, stealthily infiltrating and assassinating them all. Then, in their internal data room, indeed, I found the doctor's name and the agreed upon password between them.
These are?
The physical data of local residents. That Max doctor, under the pretext of treating illnesses and saving people, recorded the physical data of the residents in that area and handed it over to the troubleshooter. The gang would then find individuals whose physical data matched their clients and kidnap them. Just some dirty business. This job didn't yield any useful information. I was hoping there would be cash in that box, so we could have a quick way to get some cash.
Cheems, you're amazing. You figured this out so quickly.
After a few more loops, you'll be just like me.
So, this matter also has nothing to do with escaping the loop.
Lucy, why do you want to escape the loop so much?
Well,
it's okay if you don't want to say. But no matter what, only by understanding everything that happens in the loop can we possibly escape it, right? If you keep feeling down, you might never escape the loop.
you're right.
So, let's go.
Where to go?
Well, to the next loop. After that, we spent loop after loop together. In my past 4,000 loops, I never had someone with whom I could truly open up and chat. Even though the loop itself brought me endless fun, there were always nights filled with unbearable loneliness. But she appeared so suddenly. We are both loopers, able to understand each other's pain and joy, sorrow and happiness. I suddenly found that every day of life was so joyful. Like a beautiful dream from which one would never want to wake up. She remains fixated on escaping the loop, and I do my best to offer her advice and strategies. But deep down, I know we cannot escape the loop. I just want her to gradually face the reality, and then one day, time will wash away everything. And she can live happily in the loop like me. I thought that such times, such loops, could go on forever. Until that day. I had a falling out with her.
So Cheems, let's stop here. It's time to part ways.
Wait,